Welcome to the last main module of this series. In this module, we will learn about how to stain and glaze our crowns. This is the last step to customize the crown to our patient's existing teeth. If we add subtle color in the right places, the crown will look very realistic. We will also discuss some tips on when you should call SOS and seek out professional help. Some simple troubleshooting will be reviewed so that you may be able to figure out some simple problems on your own. Lastly, we will cover a few cases of more advanced crown design, some different tools you can use, and some lessons on functionality. At this point, we have a milled crown that is ready for the next step. Make sure your oven is on and set correctly. It will take several minutes to reach its temperature. There are several settings, and you may need to contact your manufacturer about your machine's capabilities. Our machine is an Ivoclar Vivadent Programmat CS. It has a speed cycle, which requires the small firing tray, a regular cycle for firing more than 2 crowns at once on the large tray, and a correction cycle, which is used for a shade correction after an initial glazing cycle. You'll use the large tray and the regular glaze with this. As you can see from the picture, the machine has several buttons. There's an open lid button, a closed lid button, stop and start, different settings for the firing at the bottom. On the far left, there are some detailed buttons. These are for performing calibrations or finding out information about the machine. P1 is the crystal glaze setting. This is a regular setting. It takes about 24 minutes. That is the large tray. P2 is a correction setting. P3 is the speed setting. Break the crown away from the metal block by snapping the sprue, which is the small ceramic attachment. The sprue stump needs to be shaved away gently before placing the crown in the furnace. Use a high speed or a straight handpiece with a very fine grit polishing burr. So here's an example of a regular glaze. We have all of our things that we need laid out on a tile, small drops of each. This is the crystal liquid. This is what we use to thin out the glaze and the colors a little bit. This is the glaze paste. And we've got white and brown stain. There's lots of different color options. We even have blue and gray. We can add a little blue to the incisal to make it look more translucent. The object fixed putty goes inside the crown. Spray glaze is for the speed setting. Twist out a little bit of the putty, enough to fill the whole inside of the crown. Find the appropriate size peg and place it into the crown. Make sure to wipe off any excess putty on the outside of the crown. Then we can start glazing. If you want to set the crown down, we can put it inside the firing tray. Mix a little bit of the liquid with the paste. It should be just ever so slightly stringy when you lift your brush. We want to paint the entire surface of the crown with this. Always bring your brush down towards the margin. We don't want any excess to get caught under the margin, so the crown may not fit if that were the case. Put a light layer over the entire surface. Wipe your brush off with an alcohol. And the next thing we are going to do is the white. Mix a little bit of the paste, the liquid with the white. Again, it should be just ever so slightly stringy when you lift your brush. The liquid glaze just helps the stains and the glaze to smooth out better. We're going to paint the cusp tips. Place a little bit on the cusps, and then we want to clean off the brush ever so slightly and feather out the edges of the stain. We want it to blend in. Wipe the brush off again with an alcohol 2x2 and do the same thing with the brown. Pay attention to your patient's teeth. They may not need very much white or brown. You might have to add only white or nothing at all. The goal is to make the crown blend with the other teeth. Add a little bit of the brown to the buccal along the gum line only, and then flatten the brush and draw a small thin line through the center of the occlusion. This adds a little bit of character, makes it look a little bit more natural. Now the crown is ready to go through the glaze setting, P1. This was a regular stain. So the next step from here would be to put the crown and the peg on the regular size firing tray. Touch the open lid button on the furnace. Take the tongs and place the large firing tray on the center of the furnace. And then hit start. Here's an example of how to stain and glaze a crown with the speed setting, with the spray glaze. We have the same setup, same materials, except we do not need the glaze paste. Object fix putty inside the crown with the appropriate peg. The alcohol 2x2, wipe off any excess on the outside of the crown. If we were to leave it, it would turn out to be little white spots after the glazing is done. So we are going to start with the white glaze, the white stain. Paint the cusp tips. Feather out the edges. Wipe the brush on a 2x2 and do the same thing with the brown. And again, these stains have already been mixed with the glaze liquid. And same thing along the occlusal grooves, add a little bit of brown. The key is to feather out the edges. We don't want any sharp lines once the crown has come out of the furnace. The spray glaze is the tricky part with this. Shake the can really well. Hold the can about 3 to 4 inches away from the crown. We're going to spray the occlusal first and then rotate the crown. Keep spraying the whole entire time. We should spray for a total of 3 seconds. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000. Okay, we are ready to put it on the firing tray and put it in the furnace. Once the crown has cooled, we can test the fit. We are working with Emax material, so we can need to use the silane primer to coat the interior surface of the crown before it comes into contact with saliva. This protects and seals the micro openings inside the crown. Place the crown and then test the contacts with floss and the margins with an explorer. Have the patient gently close and check the occlusion. Fine tuning will be done after cementation, but until then we have to be gentle with the bite. If any adjustment is needed, use a fine polishing burr and the porcelain polishing kit to make minor changes. Green occlude helps with marking areas. It should slide into place nicely. If there is any question or slight adjustments do not allow the crown to drop into place, there may be an issue with the path of draw or the way the adjacent teeth are angled. There could also be an issue with the inside surface of the crown. Ask the dentist for adjustment if you are not sure what the problem is. Polish any areas needed, and we are ready to cement. So there will be times where you're not sure what to do. There's a problem, and there's just nothing you can do to fix it. So sometimes you have to call SOS, which is the E4D support. Call them anytime you have a question. They are there to help you, no matter what the question is. Nothing is too minor or too advanced. They can remote in and help with design or troubleshoot or get you the help you need. If during design the models do not align properly, although you may be able to remedy that by scanning more data or removing unwanted data. Try to reset the alignment, then drag and drop the models over each other again using an obvious area of similarity, such as the papilla. Incorrect alignment can hinder the rest of the process. If the proposal has large twist marks or jagged edges, the orientation or the selected clone could be off. Recheck what you have done up to this point or resize the proposal. If it persists, call SOS. If slicing the crown during the sim stage, which is after design but before the mill stage, if slicing that shows the two lines crossing or the underside of the crown has a lot of drag marks from the tool, something needs to be changed. Call SOS, or you can try changing the orientation and try to sim the crown in detailed mode, which will use the blue conical tool to reach those smaller areas. Sometimes the crowns may not send to the mill. Check your internet connection and potentially reset the router and or the server. SOS can help you if this happens, but they do need internet to remote into your computer. These are only a few of the many potential issues you may encounter. There are plenty of online forums and communities that can help as well. SOS is just a phone call away.